The oil boom of the early 1970s brought unprecedented wealth to Nigeria. This period was characterized by significant government investment in infrastructure and industry, creating fertile ground for ambitious entrepreneurs. Before we go ahead, let's show you what the business climate was like in the 70s. This might get too technical. We ask you not to fall asleep. Here we go. The drive towards industrialization in Nigeria began with the first National Development Plan, implemented between 1962 and 1968. This plan aimed to encourage local technology, innovation, and markets. During that time, the Kanji Dam and the Ugeli thermal plants were constructed to provide essential energy for the early industrial sector. However, the plan relied heavily on foreign expertise, neglecting the country's resources. The Second National Development Plan, implemented between 1970 and 1974, sought to address the shortcomings of the import substitution strategy and focused on improving the local production of intermediate and capital goods. This plan targeted post-war reconstruction, restoring productive capacity, overcoming critical bottlenecks, and achieving self-reliance. In the midst of this oil-driven economic boom, a young Aliko Dangote, armed with a loan from his uncle, began his journey into the world of business. What started as a trading venture would soon grow into something much more significant, something that would make him the richest man in Africa. Born into a prominent business family in Kano, you can say Aliko Dangote had entrepreneurship in his blood.
The News of Africa tags him as one of the 100 most influential Africans. Ladies and gentlemen, join me in welcoming Alhaji Dangote. Thank you very much, sir, for your time.
Thank you very much.
I'd like to start from the very beginning. Say when you were about a teenager. What kind of kid were you? Were you really into your books all the time, or were you that guy who used to hang out and go to parties?
Not really. Well, I used to be a little bit naughty, with
Really?
a few friends, yes, but, I wasn't really mixing with bad guys. I'm always within my own, either relatives or, family, friends. So we all knew ourselves, and, I tried to be because my grandfather used to be a very strict person, so I always try to make sure that I don't cross the bounds.
His mother, Maria Sanusi Dantata, was the daughter of businessman Sanusi Dantata, a wealthy Nigerian entrepreneur and the founder of Sanusi Dantata and Sons Limited. His father, Mohammed Dangote, was a business associate of Dantata. To understand the scale, Dangote's uncle was the largest licensed produce buying agent for groundnuts in Nigeria. As a primary school student, Dangote sold candles for profit as he watched his grandfather's nurturing style with politicians, military generals, and the wheeler dealers in the nation's inner power circle. He quickly learned that in Nigeria, politics and business are closely related. Dangote began his career working as a store manager for his maternal grandfather. With a 500,000 naira loan from his uncle to begin trading in commodities, including bagged cement and agricultural goods like rice and sugar, 21-year-old Dangote established a small trading firm in 1977. His business acumen quickly became apparent as he expanded from selling basic commodities to dealing in sugar, cement, and rice. The loan allowed Dangote to import soft commodities at wholesale prices from international suppliers. Two of his main imports were rice from Thailand and sugar from Brazil. He then sold those items in small quantities to consumers at a lucrative markup. Dangote's ability to identify market needs and commitments to meeting them earned him a reputation as a reliable supplier. This reputation was crucial in establishing the trust and relationships that would later enable him to scale his business.
We have always been able to overcome the challenges, because the way that we operate is that we think big and we roll out very big, but it's been good so far.
As Nigeria's economy grew, so did Dangote's ambitions. He saw beyond the trading of imported goods and envisioned an industrial future for Nigeria, one where local production would reduce the dependency on imports. This vision led him to invest in local manufacturing. By the late 1970s, Dangote was already laying the groundwork for what would become one of Nigeria's largest industrial empires. His belief in local production was not just about business, it was about national development. The venture quickly became successful and turned into a cash cow. In an interview with Forbes, Dangote claims that on his best days, he realized a daily net profit of $10,000. That allowed him to repay his uncle in only 3 months.
But when you made your first million or 5 million, how we deal with that? When you made your first million or 5 million? Or
the way it is that when you first start business, your target is to make your first million. Okay, fine, I did that. But after a year or so, I realized that, look, I have much more than 12, 13 billion, and I said, okay, fine, all these numbers are just written numbers.
Yeah.
And one day I went to a bank.
Yeah.
At that time there were no restrictions of this, and I wrote a check and cash $10 million, and I took it home.
For yourself?
For myself, yes.
You cashed $10 million from the bank?
Yes.
Yes, and took it?
I put it in the boot of my vehicle, and I went home, and I opened it, and I look at 10 million. I said, that, okay, fine, now I believe I have money.
The path to industrialization in Nigeria was not without challenges. The 1970s were marked by political instability and economic fluctuations that posed significant risks for businesses. The uncertainty of the time made it difficult to plan for the future, but those who succeeded were the ones who could navigate the complexities of the market and the political landscape. Dangote's forays into the above industries were essentially shaped by the erratic nature of Nigerian government policies in the past. In the early 1980s, for instance, due to declining oil revenues,
when President Shagari swept back to power, the warning signs were loud and clear. Nigeria's economy in a terrible mess, widespread corruption at the highest government levels. Shagari tried to combat both. Only 2 days ago, he announced tough austerity measures.
the government of Shehu Shagari introduced austerity measures. To preserve its limited foreign exchange, an import licensing mechanism was established, which allowed Dangote's family to secure the appropriate licenses quickly, a step that can often derail new ventures. This enabled Dangote to be a key player in importing cement and other essential commodities like rice, flour, and sugar during the Shagari era. In December 1983, General Muhammadu Buhari overthrew Shagari. The new regime focused on import substitution and exports. Again, Dangote quickly realigned his business strategy and began to manufacture and export products like cashew nuts, gum, textiles, joinery, and cotton. General Abacha administration's policies were also favorable to Dangote's trading interests. In December 1996, for instance, Abacha ordered Dangote to flood the nation's markets with rice and imported it so much that the price of rice collapsed by almost 80%. But while he recorded massive profits, he never lost sight of the fact that given the country's population and the abundance of natural resources, localizing the production of some of the imported commodities could be more profitable for the company and also more beneficial to the country. With the stability that came with General Obasanjo's election as a civilian president in 1999, Dangote began to make larger investments in local production. Despite these challenges, Dangote's resilience and strategic thinking allowed him to survive and thrive. He understood the importance of adaptability and was always ready to pivot when necessary. Dangote's vision was clear: to transform Nigeria from a consumer nation into a producer. This vision would not only become his business empire, but also influence the direction of Nigeria's industrial development. The 1970s were just the beginning for Aliko Dangote. What started as a small trading venture in a rapidly changing Nigeria would evolve into a cornerstone of African industry. His story is a testament of the power of vision, perseverance, and a belief in the potential of one's nation. This is the story of a man who saw beyond the present and dared to dream of a future where Nigeria would stand on its own. This is the rise of industrialism, as told through the journey of Aliko Dangote.